Don't forget to keep checking out the links down in the description, and as I have said, if you guys have any new news that you would like me to spread or any other links that you would like me to bring awareness to, please let me know down in the comments or any of my social medias. I would very much love to bring attention to anything that I am currently missing. Hello Friendsies, welcome back to my channel. I have a legitimate book haul for you guys today, not the one I did, like, I think it was last month where I would just, like, wanted to vent about, like, feeling like I wasn't being a person. But then I wanted to also talk about something that brings me joy and makes me feel like a person. I've been going to Barnes & Noble a lot again recently. We used to do it all the time when I was younger, and then life happened, and bills happened, and student loans happened. But going to Barnes & Noble and buying books brings me joy, so I've been doing it more lately because I am grasping onto joy as aggressively as I can. If you cannot produce your own serotonin, store-bought is fine. So I have a legitimate book haul for you guys today, and it goes along with my kind of booktube themed month. Back to school, books are important, my mother's a librarian, I don't know what this is. Okay. The books I'm about to show you are from two separate trips to Barnes & Noble, not that it matters, but one of them in August, like, yeah, in August. There was that, like, well, it started in July, I think, and it ended sometime in August. No, it's still going on. I don't know. They're having the, like, certain titles are 50% off, and I mean, don't get me wrong, it's quite a few titles, like, it's a lot of titles, but it's not every single book in the store, but certain ones are 50% off, and I have a list on Amazon of, like, obviously through all the years of going to Barnes & Noble, like, I pick certain ones, you know, that day that, like, how much money I have to spend. But then there's obviously about 50 more that I, like, see on the shelf because I judge books by their covers. If it's a beautiful cover, I'm going to read the synopsis and I'm probably going to buy it. I read the synopsis and everything, and then I decide if, like, it's something I want. So I have a list on Amazon that I still have to go through because the ones all the way at the bottom are, like, from when I was, like, 16, 17, and my interests have changed quite a bit. But I have decided, because I have so many, you guys have seen it, I put a video about, like, cleaning and then, like, it didn't work out, so there's books all over my floor. I've decided that between how many books are on my bookshelves and how many books are on my bedside table, I'm not going to buy any more books that aren't on my list. I can add books to the list, but then I cannot buy them if they're not actively on them. Does that make sense? Unless it's, like, an exception. Like, unless it's super cool and I need to get it right then and there. Does that make sense? Also, I am on a personal book ban because I bought all these books and I have not read as many as is, like, justified to keep buying more because there's no room on this bedside table. It's like one of the little, like, IKEA cube things. I think it's actually from Target. The bottom shelf has 2 layers deep of books and books, like, standing up on the side. The second shelf as well, 2 layers deep and then books on the side. And now books are starting to go on the, like, absolute top where I have, like, my glasses and my back scratcher and where, like, my phone goes and where I have a coaster for my drink. Like, that is the top where it's supposed to be a table, not book storage. Also, my box set of Percy Jackson is there. I still haven't finished reading Percy Jackson. Listen! So anyway, I'm on a personal book ban after this last shopping trip, but I did one with the 50% off and got quite a few books on my list and then still ended up walking out with more. And then I did a second trip where I spent almost $100, but that 10% off on membership really saved me there just because I wanted to. So let's get into the haul. So I'll show you the books first, the ones that I got on the 50% off deal. And they all had, like, 50% off stickers on them, but my mom has, like, a cool librarian tool that, like, takes off stickers of books if you don't want them. So we did that. The first book I have is A Kind of Spark by Ellie McNicol. McNicol. There we go. Being different doesn't mean your voice doesn't count. Speak even if it's quiet. Ever since Miss Murphy told us about the witch trials that happened centuries ago here in Juniper, I can't stop thinking about them. Those people weren't magic. They were like me. Different like me. I'm autistic. I see things that others do not. I hear sounds that they can ignore, and sometimes I feel things all at once. I think about the witches, now with no one to speak for them. Not everyone in our small town understands. Not Jenna, who used to be my best friend. Not Nina, my older sister. But I keep trying. Maybe someone will. But if I keep trying, maybe someone will. I won't let the witches be forgotten because there is no more to their story. There is more to their story, just like there is more to mine. Absolutely obsessed. I find that as, like, I'm getting older, a lot of books that I used to read when I was younger was very, like, the teen dystopian back when I was, like, in high school, because it was 2013, 2014 time. Teen dystopian and, like, teen runaway was a really big thing. Like, a lot of heavy teen angst and, like, kind of very realistic, like, angst themes. You know what I mean? Like a lot of, like, anti-government and, like, not ideal parental living situations. Like, that was a lot of stuff I read when I was younger. I read a book called Mr. Death's Blue-Eyed Girls at one point, which is about a school shooting. And that's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. If anything, we should be reading things like that to kind of get an idea if we can't necessarily get access to things that are about, like, real things that are happening. Fictional stories about it are just as important. But as I'm getting older, I find myself wanting very much, like, feel-good things because the world is a fucking nightmare. Things about, like, younger kids discovering mental health and things like that, and a lot of, like, queer love stories because I'm just, like, an adult who lives in a nightmare world. So I want things that make me feel happy and feel relatable. So here we go, some kind of spark. I'm gonna have this whole fucking... This video is gonna be so long for no reason. The next book I have is Blackout by Angie Thomas, Ashley Woodfolk, and Nicole Yoon. Even love stories can glow when the lights go out. Oh, and there's more people. I'm gonna say this next name wrong, so I apologize. It's Dhonielle. So Donielle, I think might be how you say it. Clayton, Tiffany D. Jackson, and Nick Stone. And it's Blackout, the book Blackout. Oh, I want to take off this Barnes & Noble exclusive. Includes special content, which is super cool, but I don't love the sticker on the cover. I'll know that it's a special edition. I don't need advertisement. But anyway, a summer heat wave blankets New York City in darkness, but as the city is thrown into confusion, a different kind of electricity sparks. A first meeting, longtime friends, bitter exes, and maybe the beginning of something new. When the lights go out, people reveal hidden truths, love blossoms, friendship transforms, and all possibilities take flight. 6 beloved, best-selling, award-winning authors, and then it lists the authors again, and I'm not going to list them again just because I'm saying somebody's name wrong. I don't want to continue doing it. Bring the glowing warmth and electricity of Black teen love to an interconnected novel of charming, hilarious, and heartbreaking stories that shine a bright light through the darkness. So this is all about, like, Black love stories, which I think is super important because, not that it's not important, but I feel like a lot of books that, like, have Black main characters, even written by Black authors, which again, that's none of my business. They're important books that need to be written because again, sometimes like the reality is like too harsh for some people. So like a fictional version of it is a little bit easier to stomach, I guess. But I feel like a lot of books that have been like fairly popular that have been suggested and on BookTube and on Book Talk usually have like racism and Black suffering, as is real life. But I saw this one and I thought it would be really cute to read like a lot of cute love stories and like maybe meet cutes and just like Black people being normal human beings that have like not horrible, devastating emotions sometimes, but also sometimes nice ones. You know, I'm a big baby and I love love, so it kind of made sense. The next one I got is The Sky Blues by Robbie Couch. That's a dope fucking name. Sky Baker may be openly gay, but in a small insular town, making sure he's invisible has always been easier than being himself. Determined not to let anything ruin his senior year, Sky decides to make a splash at his high school's annual beach bum party by asking his crush, Allie, to prom, and he has 30 days to do it. What better way to start living loud and proud than by pulling off the gayest promposal that Rockledge, Michigan has ever seen? Then, Sky's plans get leaked by an anonymous hacker in a deeply homophobic e-blast that quickly goes viral. He's fully prepared to skip town altogether until his classmates give him a reason to fight back by turning his 30-day promposal countdown into a school-wide hunt to expose the e-blast predator. But what happens at the end of the 30 days? Will Sky get to keep his hard-won visibility, or will his small-town blues stop him from being his true self? This sounds incredible. This has been on like one of their end cap displays since Pride, and I've gotten quite a few books off of that Pride end cap. Obviously, Heartstopper was right there because Heartstopper came out just in time for Pride, the TV show, and we love it. And I've picked up Loveless since then, and I have picked up, what are other books that I grabbed? Icebreaker, which was great, don't get me wrong, but it was like a lot of hockey jargon that I don't understand. Why did I say it like that? Ew, I said hockey. A lot of hockey jargon that I don't understand. And what was the other one? I Wish You All the Best. Oh my god. Chef's Kiss, one of my favorite like recent books that have come out. So this has been on one of those end caps, and this was part of the 50% off deal, and I'm super excited to read it. These ones that I'm about to show you are from my most recent trip, the second trip, and they just look incredible. And again, these have been on my list except for the last one of these next three that I'm going to show you. This one was one of the like special occasion ones where I saw it, read the synopsis, was like, you're not on my list, but I have to grab you because you would go on my list anyway. Okay. First book I grabbed is What Big Teeth, and like again, by Rose Sabo? I hope that's how I say that name. Again, I judge books by their covers, so like tell me this isn't fascinating. A tale so gorgeously twisty it'll turn your insides out, from Tor.com. Eleanor Zarin, right? Yeah, that's how I say it. Eleanor Zarin has been estranged from her wild, bloodthirsty family for years. When she flees boarding school after a horrifying incident, she goes to the only place she thinks is safe, the home she left behind. But when she gets there, she struggles to fit in with her monstrous relatives who prowl the woods around the family estate and read fortunes in the guts of birds. Eleanor finds herself desperately trying to hold the family together, all while attempting to make sense of the re-emerging power that seems increasingly linked to the reason she was sent away in the first place. In order to save them all, Eleanor must learn to embrace the family of monsters and tame the darkness inside her. Rose Sabo's thrilling debut is a dark fantasy novel about a teen girl who returns home after she is forcibly ripped away from it. This exquisitely terrifying and beautiful tale will sink its teeth into you and never let go. And then what is this other one? It says, also by Rose Sabo, We All Fall Down. And that looks super interesting. There's a kid with tentacles behind them, and I'm super into that. So I'm excited to read this. I'm also into like spooky supernatural stuff, but without it being like very horrible. I don't know. It's hard to explain it. And I do have a video kind of explaining it coming up, so get excited for that at the end of the month. The next book I have is called Spineless by Samantha San Miguel, and this looks so cute. I'm obsessed with this. Dead leaves crackled again. Algae heard a loud thump and slither of something heavy sliding over sandy soil. Bamboo wavered and shook, but there was no wind. Something huge and live was lurking. Like, look at the back of this book. Tell me this isn't like one of the most gorgeous things you've ever seen. And this was like obviously in like the children's department, but I don't fucking care. Wild boar, alligator, hammerhead sharks. Can 12-year-old Algie Emsworth survive the swamps of South Florida? More importantly, can he survive his asthma attacks long enough to make a scientific discovery and fulfill his dream of becoming a real nationalist? With the help of Frankie and Lulu, intrepid heirs to the Hotel Paradiso, Algie embarks on an adventure of a lifetime as he escapes certain death, discovers brand new species, and goes head-to-head with diabolical thieves, all while a deadly and mysterious red tide ravages the beaches and possible curse threatens to close down Hotel Paradiso for good. Can Algie, Frankie, and Lulu save themselves, solve the mystery of the hotel's curse, and save their never before seen species? This is so fucking cute. The cover and the synopsis very much made me think of The Mummy and also the new Jungle Cruise movie, like the live-action Jungle Cruise movie, which my mom and I ended up absolutely loving. I'm obsessed. This, I think, once I get through a couple other books that I have, like, lined up, because I like to do things in, like, a lineup, like, what's gonna come next? Just for to keep myself interested, to kind of bounce between different genres. That way I don't, like, burn myself out on anything in particular. This is one of the ones I'm gonna read soon. Okay, this next one was like the special one that I wasn't gonna get, but I saw it and was like, oh, it's beautiful. The Sunbearer Trials by Aiden Thomas. I've heard that this is like, I may be late to like how popular it is, but I've heard this is like super popular on either BookTube or BookTok, because I know they're a little bit different from each other. So I have heard this is super popular, and it's just, I've heard of it and like I knew of it, but I saw it, like I said, the last time I went, and it was on the shelf and just looked absolutely gorgeous. It was right next to the other shelf of like what I mainly went to buy, and I walked out with this instead of some of the other stuff. So that tells you something. Only the most powerful and honorable semi-diocese? I don't know how to pronounce that, so I'm so sorry. Get chosen. I'm just a jade. I'm not a real hero. As each new decade begins, the sun powers must be replenished so that Sol can keep traveling along the sky and keep the chaotic obsidian gods at bay. Sol selects 10 of the most worthy semi-dioceses, again, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, to compete in the Sunbearer Trials. The winner carries light and life to all temples and Urino del Sol, again, I'm so sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly, but the loser has the greatest honor of all. They will be sacrificed to Sol, their body melted down to refuel the sunstones, protecting the world for another 10 years. Teo? T-E-O? Or, yeah, Teo? I'm gonna say Teo. A 17-year-old jade semitos and trans son of the goddess of birds isn't worried about the trials, at least not for himself. His best friend Naya is a gold semidos, again, I'm so sorry if I'm saying that wrong, and a shoo-in for the trials, and while he trusts her abilities, the odds of becoming the sacrifice is 1 in 10. But then for the first time in over a century, the impossible happens. Sol chooses not 1, but 2 jade competitors. Teo and Zio? the 13-year-old child of the god of bad luck. Now they must compete in 5 trials against gold opponents who are more powerful and better trained. Worst of all, Teo's annoying, handsome ex-best friend, Aureilo. I feel like I'm like butchering these names in a really disrespectful way, so I'm sorry, I'm not going to pronounce that name. Aurelio? I'm sorry. Is favored to win. Teo is determined to get himself and his friends through the trials unscathed for fame, glory, and their own survival. And also there's a fucking map. Hold on. There's a fucking map? Hello? I'm obsessed. Obsessed with that. This sounds really freaking good, and on like my Percy Jackson hype, because it like, again, 2 summers ago when I read the first 3 books in like a day, I was in it. I wavered a little bit. I'm back in it. I'm trying, okay? I'm trying. I will finish the Percy Jackson books, I promise. This feels very like similar vibes, but also like culturally different, which I think is super cool. And also the fact that it has a map, like, again, hello. I grew up with the Chronicles of Narnia and like the Spiderwick Chronicles and other books that had maps in them for like different scenes. So that is just everything to me. And it's so gorgeous. Look at this. I'm a petty bitch and I'm a shallow bitch, and I love judging things by their cover because you get gorgeous things like this. All right, time for the next couple books. The rest of these are graphic novels because graphic novels are hype. I never really realized how much I liked them when I was younger because I read a few in like manga and everything, but I was very focused on like traditional books. But now I am seeing so many with different themes and different things that I'm super interested in and really enjoy. So now graphic novels are like one of my favorite things to buy. Okay, let's get into them. So I got The OK Witch and the Hungry Shadow by Emma Steinkeller, I think is how you pronounce that name, and it is the second one, the sequel to just The OK Witch. Moth hushes back, who is the main character, Moth, if you don't know. Moth is starting to settle into her newfound witch heritage and power, but a life at school continues to be rough. Even her best friend Charlie doesn't entirely understand what it's like for her to always be the one who gets mocked, and things don't only get worse when Moth's mom starts dating one of the dorkiest teachers in the school. Then Moth gets a hold of mysterious charms that can unleash another version of herself, one who is confident, cool, and extremely popular. What could possibly go wrong? I've already read this one because I really loved The OK Witch, and it's very, very cute and touches on a lot of the, if you haven't read The OK Witch, it touches on, you know, Moth Hush, and not only does she have a witch heritage, obviously you can tell because The OK Witch, but she is, I believe she's only black. I don't remember if she's also Indian, but she's clearly mixed, and she's at least half black from what I can understand, because I don't remember what they said her dad, I believe her dad's a white man. I believe her dad was a white man. And her mom is black. So not only is she a mixed girl living in like a very, it takes place in a town in Massachusetts. I believe it's a fictional town. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it takes place in a town in Massachusetts, you know, so very like, you know, the racism is strong, and you know, mixed girl, and she has the witch heritage, and she's like the dorky kind of outcast girl. So no, it is very goofy and silly and supernatural, but this, again, does it a bit in the first book, does it a lot in this one, very much touches on the fact that, like, yeah, her friend Charlie gets bullied too because he's like the dorky kid, but also Moth is bullied a lot more, and in a lot more serious way, because of the other elements that go into it. And I think that's really cool, but also super important, because not only do you get like, oh, like funny witch shenanigans, but you also get like actual reality of life, you know? Again, this is another one I've already finished because I actually read it while I was waiting for my mom to pick me up from the Barnes & Noble. So, Life of Melody. Look how cute this is. 2 supernatural men and a baby. A human child abandoned in the woods is discovered by an unlikely pair, Razmataz, a fairy godfather, and Bon, a beast man. After quarreling over the best way to handle a child, they finally agree to co-parent in the human world. For now, at least. What the 2 men don't expect in this little arrangement will push them to discover more about themselves and more about each other, which might result in love. In this charming LGBT plus rom-com, one temporary magic family might just become real. I have already read this. It is everything I've ever wanted in a book. It's so perfect. And the town that they decide to settle in, minor spoiler, is like basically surrounding a giant lake. And for some reason, certain scenes of it made me think of the ice skating scenes in Barbie and the Magic of Pegasus, like in the beginning of the book where she like wants to go outside and ice skate. Very much made me think of that, so it felt like a little nostalgic at the same time because that's one of my favorite Barbie movies. This was so cute. Razzmatazz, I want to say that I'm Bond, like I really do. I want to relate to Bond so hard, but Razzmatazz is really like me for real. I'm not adding him to the kin list, but listen. This next one is actually one I want to read today. I'm going to go sit outside after I film this and I will work on reading it. So I have now The Aquanaut by Dan Sintat. Oh my god, did I say who the other one? Did I say who Life of Melody was by? Life of Melody is by Mari Costa. Costa? Mari Costa. Oh, words. Okay. But yeah, that is The Aquanaut, and it's a graphic novel by Caldecott Medalist? Is that just like an award? I don't know. And I also lost that bookmark that my cat is going to steal because she loves it. Who is the Aquanaut? Ever since her father was lost at sea, Sophia has been moping around Aqualand, a marine theme park. But Sophia's world is turned upside down when an Aquanaut breaks into the park's research lab. To her amazement, Sophia discovers that the Aquanaut is not what it seems. Inside lives a band of goofy sea creatures. And when they all realize that Aqualand is more sinister than advertised, Sophia is determined to help the Aquanaut crew free the park's captive marine life before it's too late. This looks really super cute, and like, the thing is, the cover fully got me, and I like quickly flipped through it, and the artwork is like a little bit different than a lot of the other graphic novels I've read. So I'm really excited to read this, and I think this is going to be the one that I go read outside because I've already played Animal Crossing for the day, so now I'm going to need a book to read. And the next book I have is absolutely darling. Again, another one that pulled me in by just the cover alone. It is Crumbs by Danny Sterling. Look how cute that looks, little witch girl. And she's chubby, which I'm here for. Falling in love just got sweeter. In a very special town, there's an even more unusual bakery with a selection of baked treats handcrafted to help your dreams come true. For Ray, a quiet young woman with special powers of her own, the order is always the same, a hot tea with a delicious side of romance. When Ray meets Lori, a kind barista who aspires to be a professional musician, she gets a taste of real love for the first time. But even with a spark of magic, romance isn't so simple. Both Ray and Lori are chasing their own dreams, and even when Ray starts to see the future, she can't predict her fate with Lori. Based on the webcomic from Webtoon, the #1 digital comic app averaging more than 10 million daily readers and 100 billion views annually, Crumbs is in a stunning print format for the first time with gorgeous illustrations and exclusive new content sure to please fans new and old. I've noticed quite a lot of the graphic novels that I pick up are from Webtoon originally, which is super cool because I only know of Webtoon fairly recently. It is not something I knew about when I was younger that I like caught up with a lot, because something I did know about was Crunchyroll. But when I was younger and knew about Crunchyroll and knew I could watch certain like animes on Crunchyroll, I knew at the time you had to pay. I don't know if that's like still the same thing. And when I was younger, I didn't have money for monthly subscriptions. So I didn't know about webcomic, and I think if I had heard of it, I would have automatically assumed that it was like a pay to do. So now that they're coming out as graphic novels, I feel like on one hand, like, oh, that kind of sucks. I missed out on like the original story, and I'm sure by now there's changes and everything, but at the same time, it's a beautiful book that I can keep forever. And I know like the internet, you know, things are on there forever, but it's a beautiful book that I can keep forever. And like gorgeous print, gorgeous artwork. And this one's thick, so I'm very excited to read this. Maybe I'll read this and The Aquanaut today. I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, guys, that was the book haul that I have for you today. Do I read as many books as I buy? Not really. Reading is still a little bit harder for me. I just burned myself out really bad when I was younger, and I like get into, you know, grooves where I read everything all at once and then I stop for a while. Much better at reading fan fiction. I can read a fan fiction that if it was printed probably would be thicker than this, but I don't know. I know a lot of people can relate to this. This was the second episode of like my booktube month, my second video of my booktube month, and I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have read any of these books, please don't spoil anything, but let me know down in the comments if they're good. I'm sure they are, but let me know if you like them, because there was a book that I read recently. It's called Dream House, and it's actually by... I didn't realize this when I bought it. I just was like, oh, cool, Dream House. Like, I don't always look at the author's names when I grab books, which might be a problem. But this book, Dream House, is by that girl. Who's the Nazi guy's name? I probably shouldn't say that word, but who's the Nazi guy's name? The YouTuber. He did video games, I think. The awful one that like should be off the internet but isn't for some reason. His girlfriend? Wife? Are they married? I don't know. It's actually by her, which I didn't know until I flipped to the end of the book to try to get some information, because I read a book once that I got to the end of it and was like kind of fucked up over it, and it was like, this author loves to write middle grade, and I was like, how the fuck was this middle grade? This fucked me up so hard. How is this for young children, like advertised for younger kids? So I did the same thing because I was trying to figure something out in the book, and it was like her, and I was like, oh my god, I recognize her, you know? So what I was trying to say is it might not be necessarily books I end up liking, because I finished reading that other book that I'm talking about and I gave it to my mom, and I don't know if I like it or not, so I want her to like read it and tell me what she feels about it. But if you've read any of these books, let me know. I keep like slapping this one because I put it right at the end of the desk. If you've read any of these books, let me know. Just let me know if you liked them. If you have like kind of like mixed feelings about them, let me know, because that's how I feel about that Dream House book. And thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! And also leave suggestions if there's anything like similar to these that you think would be like, oh, if she bought this because she thinks it's going to be good, she should try this. Let me know, let me know, let me know.